HBO, Cinemax, Stars, 200-plus entertainment and news networks, or watch 10,000 movies on demand, including recent theater releases. Just $41.99 a month when you use the ESPN-NW promo code at checkout. Watch on up to 5 devices at the same time. Perfect for sharing with family and friends. Lucid Stream TV gives you everything you want for less. Cut the cord, not the fun. To score Lucid Stream TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click on the Lucid Stream TV logo.
College football fans, this is Patrick with Turf Pro Lawn and Pest Control. As toe meets leather to start this football season, don't forget about your lawn. Sod webworms and other turf-destroying insects are on the move. Before they can score a touchdown in your lawn, call Turf Pro Lawn and Pest Control to set up the right defense for your property. Turf Pro Lawn and Pest Control, where the yellow and blue trucks make your lawn green. Call us, local 890-5820. Remember, 890-5820.
Is your restaurant looking a little tired from the long off season? Is your office a little offish? Start the new year off right by giving them a fresh start. Fresh Start Cleaning is now accepting new clients. Ask about their complimentary hood cleaning services. Fresh Start Cleaning. Get clean again with Fresh Start. Call 850-771-6917, 771-6917, and ask about their complimentary hood cleaning services.
WVLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Haven, powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Deep center field and heading for the horizon.
Sports Talk Radio will never be the same.
Onion pickles, onions, pickles.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Way back and gone.
On ESPN.
Northwest Florida.
What's going on, Northwest Florida? You are now riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We are the Afternoon Underdogs, and this is ESPN Northwest Florida. Your home for the Auburn Tigers is David Hayes and Coach Brian Haddad. I believe the Auburn Tigers have a bye week, if I'm not mistaken. Am I mistaken on that?
On it right now. Let me look.
Hey, there should be a schedule, right? Well, that's not going to give you the dates right there either.
Yeah, it's useless.
It's one of those things. I was working on putting our pick'em together, and then I realized sometimes you have to make that switch to all of FBS and not just the top 25.
Yeah, Auburn is off this week.
Yeah, so they are off this week. It is best and worst of the weekend Monday here with David Hayes and Coach Brian Haddad. And so if you'd like to tell us what your best and worst of the weekend is, you can text it into us at 850-215-6290 or follow along with us on Facebook. I'll try to read some of the comments there, try to read some of the comments on YouTube, and we never get comments on Twitch, so I'm not normally monitoring that particular stream. So if you are watching on Twitch right now, come on over to Facebook or YouTube or text us 850-215-6290. You know, speaking of those Auburn Tigers, Coach Haddad, how do you feel about Vandy getting it done this time?
Alabama State champions, Vanderbilt.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great story for college football, I think. Not just them beating Auburn, but for the first time since 1955, beating Alabama and Auburn.
Yeah, look, they've had a wonderful season. They're a perfect representation of their quarterback. They're not the 5-star, athlete who's going to wow you with their, speed and jumping ability and this, that, or the other. But what they are is tough, gritty football players who are well coached and do the things that they do extremely well. And they're really good at forcing you to play their style of football game.
They did that perfectly against Alabama.
Yeah, so they're doing a wonderful job. If anything, you could say negative about them this year is they may have, taken their eye off the ball when the competition wasn't as good, like with a Georgia State or whatever. But, I mean, this team has been a lot of fun to watch. I mean, I didn't love them beating Alabama earlier in the year, but it's been a lot of fun to watch because they are just so gritty, and it's what you want to see rewarded. Really good tackling, good blocking, good, carrying the football. Not a lot of turnovers, although Pavia's he's turned the ball over a little more recently. Yeah, it's just a good football team with a bit of swagger about them, and it's kind of fun to watch,
I agree, and you taking myself out of my Alabama fandom, of course, in the moment you're just like, what in the world is this? It's kind of shell shockish, but afterwards it's one of those where it's good for college football, I think, like especially here we are in this world of the college football playoff with 12 teams. South Carolina did a tremendous job of taking down Texas A&M. We've got a lot of chaos about to happen over the next 3 to 4 weeks here in the land of college football.
Well, I think the thing that I felt pretty strongly about was that nobody was going to go undefeated in the SEC this year, and that's now the case.
Official.
But, it's... I don't know yet if I love it. It's nice that a few more teams are involved, but I think this also coupled with what's going on with... Let me put it to you this way. I really fell out of love with college basketball around the point people just started playing for a year and being gone.
Yeah, one and done.
You just couldn't invest in the team. It was total roster turnover every year, and it lost me. Maybe I'm looking at that wrong, but it did. It lost me, and I have not been the same kind of college basketball fan that I used to be. I'm worried college football is heading that way. So, yeah, having more teams involved is good, but I think that's a byproduct of a couple of things that aren't good, which is the fact that the entire product to me is being watered down. I enjoyed the fact that I'd have 4 or 5 teams that I felt really played outstanding football. And I think with the difficulty of meshing a team every year the way that things are going now, there's not a team out there that I really think is playing outstanding football. Oregon's close. But, Georgia should be able to, and they're not.
Yeah, I mean,
Ohio State should be able to, and they're not. I don't know. I need probably a larger sample size to know whether I'm going to like it or not.
Yeah.
I think it's so different, I'm just kind of recoiling a little bit.
I liken it to the NFL where you just never know what's going to happen, and I really like that type of football where it seems like more and more teams are on the same level playing field. I would say that the brand of football, not the brand of football, but the level of football, because of the lack of cohesion, is exactly what you're saying, where we're used to seeing kind of better football, and you would expect a team like Georgia to be able, all right, Carson Beck makes makes multiple mistakes like that in a huge game against Bama, but all right, now let's work on those. And when we're playing teams who maybe aren't up to our level, Carson Beck isn't turning the ball over like that, and that just hasn't seemed to go away for Beck and the Bulldogs to this point. I think Texas is a pretty good football team, right? But I think that Quinn Ewers isn't as good as what people give him credit for. I think there's so many minute issues with each team that if those issues are exploited, that can result in a loss.
Yeah, look, I think it's mimicking the NFL in a lot of ways, and it's doing that. People complain about the weaker conferences getting an automatic bid into the playoffs, but that's what happens in the NFL. I mean, the AFC South gets a bid, and that's a pretty rotten conference, So, I mean, that happens, but I think what bothers me is, to me, the overall product of college football. I don't think the skill level is as good. Now, it could be an anomaly, but I'm worried it's the beginning of a trend because I'm seeing way more missed tackles. I'm seeing way more drop passes. It's probably as much a byproduct of we've turned high school into combines. We're getting all into 40 speed and vertical jump and all of this stuff and this, that, and the other. And, the guys who are really adept at truly playing football sometimes are getting left by the wayside. And I think the colleges are having to spend so much resource on NIL and on getting out and recruiting that I don't think they're coaching them as much in college. So to me, the product is suffering slightly. Again, I may be... It could just be anecdotal, and I may not be reading that right, but to me, the product does not look as strong.
I would say some people would agree with you. I think I'm a person who the product is the product, regardless of the feelings of it. It's just I enjoy the product, how it's going to come. So with that being said,
Sure.
If it's as good, if it's not as good, I know that it's going to go in a cycle where it will. But I think, you bring up a point that a lot of people don't bring up, and that's the hours that these coaches have to spend recruiting. And those hours spent recruiting are not being utilized in the embetterment of your current team, because recruiting's for next year, right? And then not only that, now you have to recruit your team week in and week out to keep them there. Like, please, will you play week 10 with us? Will you play week 11 with us? And it's one of those that I think that's that takes an emotional toll on the coaches who already have enough emotional hairs to pull out as it is. So that's a great point. But again, when it comes to the parity that we're seeing now,
it's exciting. You can't argue that.
Yeah, you can't. And then now we've got this tomorrow night. The rankings are going to come out, which it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it gives us that first barometer, if you will, for what it could look like. I'm interested, and maybe we talk with Steve about this. I know that we have a caller on the line. We'll get right to you, bud. But do they start the rankings out as the conference champions, who they perceive to be the conference champions, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then kind of go at large? I don't think that would make sense until your final rankings, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they'll just rank them 1 to 12 as is. And look, I mean, if there's a conference champion that's going to be outside of that, then they're outside of that and it displaces 12. So I think they're just going to rank them numerically and then just kind of let all of that play itself out.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. It is best and worst of the weekend Monday. So if you have any, text those into us at 850-215-6290. We'll dive into some headlines, but first we'll go to the phone lines, and we've got Ohio Brad on the line with us. Ohio Brad, how's it going, my friend?
Oh, it's going awesome. How you guys doing?
Oh, man, if we were any better, well, I'd probably
be illegal.
Yeah, I'd probably be eating a little bit more right now, but
hey, happier than a bullfrog with a stubbed toe.
Hey, there you go, man. You that was the perfect description there.
Dude, well, you guys got me wanting to call in. First of all, I just wanted to say, to start off, I'm not going to call in about the Browns anymore. I'm done with them.
Oh, that was
over. You were not calling in about the Browns. I want you guys to know, whenever you see me calling, it's not going to be about the Browns.
You were the first person I thought of yesterday. I was like, man, I really had a little bit higher hopes. I get the inconsistency that comes with Jameis Winston, and it was just a tough day yesterday for the Browns. You were absolutely the first person I thought of.
Yeah, dude, I'm 30. I'm about to be 37, so, like, they've been bad my whole life, so this is nothing new to me. This is, like, normal, par for the course. I'm just, not going to call in about them anymore. But, I wanted to call in, actually, because I've had this great idea for college football. And, we're kind of talking about the playoffs and maybe the products getting worse. And I tend to agree. I think what they've been doing right now, and part of me also likes the idea, but I think it's more about participation than necessarily having the best teams. Like, remember when Boise State bust onto the scene, like, I don't know, what was that, like 10, 15 years ago?
Maybe.
It might even be 20. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it was early 2000s because it was before I graduated. And we were in West Virginia, I believe, when they beat Oklahoma, I believe.
Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty, yeah.
Right. They even made a show about Boise State called Blue Mountain State. It became so popular, man. So, like, I think there's been a desire from just the nation, because you got to remember, it's college football,
right?
And all these colleges that play college football, they have one thing in common with everybody: you can get a degree there.
Yeah.
So part of me feels like it's correct to open up the participation a little bit, but hear me out on this. This has been my idea about college football for quite a while. And this is probably not going to go over well in the South, because it's a little bit more steeped in tradition, I know. But make it more like the NCAA tournament. And what I mean by that is and this is going to be a financial thing, but let's get rid of the patty cake preseason games that major teams play. So, for example, David, let's get rid of, let's stop having Alabama playing Troy. Let's stop having.
You got to start having them play each other for that.
I know what you mean.
Yes, no.
Let's stop having Ohio State play Akron.
Yeah.
Let's stop having Florida play, I don't know, UCF, whatever. And
UCF's a big boy now. But USF.
That's what I don't know. I'm trying to think of some small Florida school. Whatever. Let's get rid of those games. Let's get right into it. And then let's have a bigger field where the best of those lower teams make it in. So, Alabama might see Troy, but it would be in the playoffs. Because Troy earned their right to play it. So, I don't know exactly how the math would work out, how the money would work out, but it's like, in college basketball, you have these little teams that have won their conferences that just get automatic bids, and you see upsets every year.
Yeah, but it's such a different sport, though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Not that it would totally translate, but that's just kind of always been, my idea is, those games happen. They're like preseason games. Troy comes into Alabama to get beat for money and, help sharpen up Alabama's players. Akron gets beat down for money by Ohio State. I don't know,
What I would like to see is you can't... The money issue is a huge one because that keeps the sport of football going. That keeps the sports going, right. Really, the entire athletic department going for a lot of schools. So I don't want to see just because you're a smaller school now, you're not able to fund your school. So I would say one cupcake game, but that's got to be – I don't like the late season cupcake games like Alabama's going to be playing Mercer right before either Oklahoma or right before Auburn. Not a big fan of the timing of that game. But I would like to see more – cross-conference games, or cross-conference games. Now, I think 8 conference games is perfect. Big Ten's playing 9. I believe Big 12 plays 9, and I believe the ACC is at 9. I think the SEC is the lone Power 4 conference that's sitting at 8, but I think 8 is the right number, and then you go on a rotation of now you've got an ACC, Big 10, and Big 12 school that you play, right. And then a cupcake.
But I'm just saying, I guess, and maybe you could talk, it's a fun topic, but, I would like to see a bigger tournament where maybe there's a little less, less of the meaningless games during the season, and maybe
save them for the
tournament bigger. Because you don't want to wear these kids out, it's not right to beat these kids up before they get to their ultimate goal of, the NFL. Which, let's be honest, that's what all these kids want to do. So,
right, but there's such a small percentage that's actually going to the NFL after this.
Right, but it's about giving that opportunity. There.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
You know what I mean? So, I just think, let's make more of the games meaningful. Let's make a bigger playoff. And, would you put money today, and I'm not going to put a number on it, but would you put money that the playoffs get bigger?
Yeah, because they're already going bigger next year. They're going to 14 next year. We've done it. We haven't even played a year.
So me talking about a 32 or a 64 isn't insane.
No, it's not. It's not insane at all. I think that to a certain demographic, it does sound insane. I think that I think I'll be in my 40s or 50s before we get to 32. But and I'm just saying, no,
I'm laughing because I agree.
Yeah,
I don't know. Not based on this rate of attrition that we're going. We might be there in 3 years.
I just don't understand how they went from they do 10 years of a 4-team college football playoff, then they agree finally to get to 12, and we've been asking for at least 8 for 5 years, and then you get to 12, and before you even see how 12 plays out, because 12 could be the magic number,
right?
Then you're going to 14.
And I'll say this, and then I'll get off, because I could keep. Actually, I'll say 2 more things, and then I'll get off. But I think. At the end of the day, unfortunately, this is all about television. And, I'm not a huge SEC guy, but I'll talk about the Big Ten for a second.
All right.
The reason some teams have been added to the Big Ten has a lot more to do with television
100%.
Than the actual teams.
Oh, yeah.
Like Rutgers was brought in to control, part of the East Coast.
Yeah.
It isn't even UCLA in the Big Ten now because the Big Ten just wanted every television set on the whole West Coast to be tuning into Big Ten football. So, like, I think you're going to keep seeing the playoffs get bigger because it's becoming more like the NFL. It's more of a television show. So, like, if you ever want to know why moves are getting made in, college football, just watch TV.
Yeah.
And that's normally your answer.
Well, and so, but you know who gets the blame on that?
Oh.
The fans, right? Because we're the ones who want it.
Right, which is okay. I mean, we all have secret vices. We all love, maybe things we shouldn't love. But
I know Brian is kind of like, are you licking your chops to dive in here?
No, it's...
I just wanted to say, I'll get off. I'm going to get off. I just wanted to say, I'll let you guys keep talking about this, but I'm now all about the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm going to bring more basketball talk to this show. They're the only Cleveland team that's ever made me proud. Honestly, I should probably be Cleveland Brad, not really Ohio Brad.
There you go.
So if I'm calling in, it's probably going to be about the Cavs here going out.
Hey, there we go, man.
Get ready for some basketball talk.
Hey, and we need that because sometimes I don't really start paying attention to basketball as much as I should until kind of football season goes away. But yeah, so from now on, how about instead of Cleveland Brad, we just call you C Brad?
Hey, D Hayes. Olive Branch being extended. You can become a Cavs fan this year.
I'm a Pacers fan.
You can jump on the bandwagon. We'll allow it.
All right, my man. Hey, C. Brad, we'll chat with you soon. But as always, feel free to call in and chat whatever it is that's on your mind with us.
For sure. Just no more Browns.
No more Browns. That is C. Brad, Cleveland Brad, formerly known as Ohio Brad. Now, Coach, we could take a couple more minutes if you'd like to respond
briefly,
to this.
The entire decision about playoffs will be made solely on what makes everybody the most money. That's just the way it's going to be. The only thing about it, and it's hard for me to say this now because, look, I haven't seen a 12-team playoff yet. I just know what I loved and what I think a lot of college football fans loved about college football is it seemed like every week absolutely mattered. That's already slightly watered down, and now it's more like the second half of the season. It's now elimination mode. But I think the ethos of the college football fan is slightly different. I think college basketball has always celebrated the NC State winning, the Villanova winning. If you look at the parallels in college football, the BYU winning was seen as an aberration and in one of the worst things that was going on. Remember all the consternation about Cincinnati getting in the playoff, about TCU getting blown out in the championship game.
Yeah, but TCU won a game to get to the championship game.
I championed both of those being in the playoffs and all like that. I get it. But I think the mindset of the college football fan is slightly different from having those underdogs get in there the way it is in basketball. So I'm not sure it translates equally. But again, we haven't seen it yet. Yeah. So it may be that we see this 12 and we end up loving it.
I mean, if Boise State or whoever, Army could beat Notre Dame. And then we've got a wild situation on our hands because Army doesn't play their final game of the season until after the final CFP ranking. So we've got a situation right there. And ladies and gentlemen, if you do call today, I'm running the board. So with that being said, I'm not going to pick up the phone and talk to you. I'm just going to patch you through. So if you call and you're just hearing the radio, just know that means that you're on the line at that point, because we had another call, but I think that they thought that I just didn't answer the phone. So if you do call in to 850-215-6290, you'll start hearing the radio, and that means that I'm going to bring you up here soon. But we'll go ahead and take a break. We'll give Brian a little bit of a break unless Joey Logano comes up and he wants to bring in Matt Kenseth one more time. But we are going to take a few left turns as there was some wild stuff happening in Martinsville at the Paperclip yesterday afternoon, and we'll have the creator of the Motor Stardom Instagram page, RJ Starcevic, on the line with us. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. We'll be right back.
This just in. Get the latest sports news, scores, and updates from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Follow us on Facebook for exclusive content, behind-the-scenes action, live streams, and the chance to interact with your favorite hosts.
Stay connected. Stay connected. Stay connected.
Join the conversation on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Search for ESPN Northwest Florida and crush the follow button.
I follow you on social media.
We're always here to keep you in the game.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Monday. Clear the rest of the day with a moderate breeze around 13 miles per hour coming out of the east-southeast and temps near 82. Tonight we will have mostly clear skies and be very warm at 71. Partly sunny much of the day, but with a very small chance of rain showers in the evening tomorrow and a high 81. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hey Gator fans, bring your family and friends to Rocket Lanes, home of the Panhandle Gator Club. While you enjoy Gator football watch parties in the sports bar with fellow Gators, your family and friends can enjoy bowling, roller skating, and the many entertaining electronic games. All Gator fans are also welcome to attend the Panhandle Gator Club meetings, 6 p.m. every second Tuesday of the month at the same location. Follow Gator gatherings all year long at panhandlegatorclub.com. Go Gators!
Your biggest investment is your home. Protect it while also improving its appearance with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. We have sand, mulch, gravel, or lay-down decorative stone, all available for pickup and delivery. Discover your dream landscape with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Imagine the moment you proudly pull up to your home that you've worked so hard for, enhanced by quality mulch, decorative stones, and more. Let's make it happen today. Request a quote online at earthworkspc.com or swing by the office at 2005 Industrial Drive. Love the land you live on.
Auburn basketball returns November 6th.
Hardwell to the basket with authority. Unbelievable.
Bruce Pearl and the reigning SEC tournament champions are ready to take on the most challenging schedule in school history.
Right wing three, Denver. Yeah, big three. Tonight. Turn, shoot, good.
Catch all the action on your home for Auburn basketball.
ESPN Northwest Florida. War Eagle.
In your face.
Questionable calls all over the NFL this year.
On the field.
Quantify, to put a value on momentum, you can't do that.
And in your radio.
Hashtag NFL rig.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Tuned in here to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on 104.3 Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We are going to find some time to do some best and worst of the weekend this afternoon. So if you have one, please text it in to us at 850-215-6290. It's David Hayes and Coach Brian Haddad. We are the Afternoon Underdogs. We're streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter as well. I'll be trying to catch up to some of the comments on Mondays. I've been running the board lately, so it's just me and Coach Haddad in the building, and we're going to be taking a few left turns here. We're going to go around the track with RJ Starcevic. RJ, my man, give me your best and worst of the race in Martinsville.
What's up, guys? I got to go with best of the week, Ryan Blaney, putting on a valiant performance. I believe the final green flag run of the day. He soars up 9 spots, takes the lead, and he had to do so. He had to win to get in, so talk about clutch. He's able to get the job done and win the race. And the worst for me, I got to say, is the controversy on the last half of the race, which we'll talk about here shortly. But, it was a great, clean, fantastic race on 499 and a half laps through it. And unfortunately, we had some stuff go on in the final corner of the race, which led to a 30-minute review on who was getting to the championship round. A lot of craziness over there in Martinsville.
Wow, that's we can't wait to dive into that. I'm sure both Brian and I have some questions, and maybe some of the listeners, if you are listening on Facebook or if you're listening via the radio, you can text your questions in to 850-215-6290. So give us a recap of that race and what went down at the paperclip.
Yeah, as we talked about last week, so many implications going into a race like this, but it's really about who's there at the end. And Ryan Blaney kind of solidified himself as that guy. He had one of the fastest cars of the race. The other guys that did, who were also in win situations, were Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson. Both of them were running up front, leading laps. On Saturday at the racetrack, Denny Hamlin, the guy that we talked about who needed to get a win to advance, he crashed. He had a mechanical issue, had to start all the way from the back, and was only able to make it up to 5th place, never was able to really sniff the lead. It was a long day for him, but at the end of the day, like I had mentioned, it was Ryan Blaney who was able to win, get himself that third and final playoff spot, but, there's 4 of them, so it comes down to that final lap there. William Byron, based on points, was 1 point above. Christopher Bell was 1 point back, and there were 2 different things going on here. You got William Byron, who was falling, looking like he was going to get eliminated, but he's got 2 Chevrolets behind him, and they communicate and make almost like a wall so that nobody could drive by him or the 24 car, and Byron's able to hold that spot. But on the other side, Christopher Bell needs to pick up 1 spot. Bubba Wallace all of a sudden has in quotations, a tire going down, falls all the way back to give the spot to the 20. 20 doesn't know that. He pulls a slide job on Bubba going into the final corner, hits the wall, and then in the second half of the corner just floors it, rides that second half of the wall, reminiscent of the Hail Melon a few years ago from Ross Chastain. And it took about 30 minutes for NASCAR to sit there and decide whether that move by Christopher Bell was going to stand, and they decided that it wasn't. They ruled it to be a safety violation, as they had said a few years ago. They weren't going to take people riding the wall, even though it was about half of the move Ross Chastain performed 2 years ago. They still outlawed against it. So the final 4 is Tyler Reddick, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, who all 3 got wins, and then William Byron ends up squeezing in there with that ruling from NASCAR. So a lot going on. There's still going to be possible penalties going on this week because of radio communication, what they call race manipulation. But nonetheless, I believe 99% sure the final 4 is set. I don't think anything will change. Just probably some hefty fines possibly being handed out.
RJ, when I jump in on these, it's usually to complain about Logano in some form or fashion. I'm not going to do that today. I watched the replay, and to me, it did not look like Bell really had much of a choice about going into the wall. And then once you're in it, I mean, what else is he supposed to do? Just completely back off and drop down and wreck half the field? I don't know. It looks to me like NASCAR backed themselves into a wall, no pun intended, with this ruling that they made after a couple of years ago. I'm not saying whether you agree with it or not, but explain to me, who kind of watches this, here and there, what is NASCAR's kind of reasoning for implementing this rule in the first place?
Yeah, so I like the phrasing there, kind of backing themselves into a wall on this, because usually penalties in NASCAR and rulings, we have seen so many penalties this year, but penalties have come with appeals, right? And some teams and drivers have won, some haven't. Joe Gibbs Racing and the 20 team cannot appeal this penalty because 2 years ago when they made this a ruling, they didn't just kind of put this in the rule book as its own thing that could be looked at differently. They put this in there as a safety violation. So safety violations cannot be appealed. It's a call that's made during a race. And the way the series director, Eldon Sawyer, described it yesterday to the media, he said it's basically like just calling, an uncontrolled tire or too many men over the wall or speeding on pit road, calling that a safety violation or just a violation during the race. So that's why, Joe Gibbs Racing was very upset that they could not appeal this penalty. And it was a final decision made by NASCAR. And so, whatever data they look at or whatever intent, it was, they had to decide there, that night while they were on pit road. And so I certainly I wish it wasn't ruled that, wasn't called a safety violation so that they could take the time, last night, today, to really look at it some more. But that's just unfortunate reality of what kind of rule they made, and now that they, by rule, cannot look into a safety violation today and change the ruling.
There you go. Great answer, as always, from the 20-year-old himself, RJ Starsvig, who always keeps us on track. How long is it till your 21st birthday?
Next September. So, yeah, I just turned 20 a few months back. 2 months ago now that it's November, so we got about 10 months to go.
All right, my man. Well, 21, we're definitely going to find each other's paths one more time, hopefully many more times. But do you agree with the ruling that NASCAR made, dropping Christopher Bell from 18th to 22nd? What's the difference in the 4 spots? Obviously, a playoff spot there, but do you agree with NASCAR's ruling, being that is a rule in the rule book?
Yeah, being a rule in the rule book and kind of them outlawing it 2 years ago and him riding that second half of the wall based on the rule book, yes. I mean, it should be a penalty for that lap, which, puts him back behind, the cars behind him in the order. But when you look at it, it's such a double-edged sword because NASCAR comes out and they say, the penalties this week given to Chevrolet or Toyota teams about communication and race manipulation and not trying their best to get their manufacturer in the playoffs. The reasoning for that will be, those teams did not give 100%. That's what it says in the rule book. And you look at Christopher Bell, just send it in there. His car slides. He attempted to make the corner.
Yeah.
And then that second half of the corner, he guns around on the outside. You can't say that he wasn't giving 100%. So I think they did dig themselves into a hole with that rule where it's like, obviously, we know Ross Chastain's intent 2 years ago was just a full send that corner and not even attempt to make it. To whereas Christopher Bell attempted to make the corner, he got himself into the wall and just decided to gas it up. And I feel like I've seen that before. Somebody posted a video of, I think it was Kyle Larson at Richmond earlier in this year, kind of doing the same thing. He kind of got himself in the marbles and then just decided, screw it, I'm just going to drive it off the wall here. I don't agree with that being a penalty, but I think it's just sort of unfortunate circumstance where they put it in the rule book and now they're like, well, we didn't think about this scenario, I guess. Mm-hmm. So now, they crack down on it. So, I mean, in a perfect world, I would not have penalized Christopher Bell, but since it was already in the rule book and based on Preston, that's just, what they felt like they had to do.
Ah, man, I just hate it because when you think of specifically the sport of NASCAR, like racing, and racing, it's kind of like fighting, right? Where you do whatever it is that you can within your power to win, and I hate that. It's your decision, right? Like, if you want to go into the wall, like, that's you putting your health at risk, right?
Yeah, I would have to agree, and I know some people talk about, there was mentioning of, there's, part of the wall at Martinsville that's supposed to open it, I think that's really just excuse talk to me, because if there's any part of a wall at a track that is unsafe to ride around on, then it shouldn't be there. I mean, we see absolutely horrific crashes almost every week, and everything on that racetrack is supposed to be safe to protect the drivers and the fans. So every wall should be designed for somebody to just drive, all over it if need be, or crash into it. We don't want that to happen, right. But everything is designed just in case something happens. So everybody loved the Hail Melon. I mean, he sent it in there. I can understand saying, okay, we don't want everybody just to go and do that and rip the wall.
But you want 100% under your drivers.
I can understand that argument a little bit more, but what Christopher Bell did, I think, is just somebody that sent it in the corner and just said, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know who's below me. I don't know what position I need to get right now, but I'm just going to hold the throttle and make it off this corner and see if I can get to the line.
And wasn't the Hail Melon like almost a whole lap around the track on the wall?
Yeah, pretty much a whole half a lap. He sent it into 3, knowing he came out of turn 2 knowing he was going to floor it. And Christopher Bell really had no idea what he was going to do. He knew he attempted to make the corner. He broke into the corner, swerved left. His car got loose, slid all the way up. He gets into the wall, and he's like, oh, crap, I got to gas it up. And you don't know if your car is going to just go straight off the wall or you're going to dig into the wall. You never know. So I think just penalizing someone for making such a race racer move in that moment. He didn't have time to think about, is this going to be a penalty or not? No, he's a racer. He's under the helmet. It's the final lap, and he had to do what he had to do.
Do you feel what those Chevys were doing? By the way, you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line right now with RJ Starcevic. Go check out his Instagram. It's Motor Stardom. Motor Stardom, all one word over there on Instagram. Make sure you go give that page a follow. As you can tell by listening, RJ knows what he's talking about. Do you feel what those Chevys were doing, building the wall up, do you think that was race manipulation?
I certainly think based on precedent it is, and I think 2 years ago, Stewart-Haas Racing was penalized at the Charlotte Roval during the playoffs when one of their drivers kind of let off to block some other cars and let his teammate go to advance in the playoffs. That advanced Chase Briscoe in the playoffs bumped Kyle Larson out. Now, after the weekend was commenced, they didn't take anybody out of the playoffs. They didn't put anybody back in, but they did hand a nice $200,000 fine to the organization. So it seems, based on precedent and what's happened before, it kind of seems like a thing where it's like, okay, are you willing to risk a possible $200,000 penalty to help your manufacturer get into the next round? And I certainly think, based on radio communications of the number 3 car, at least, number 1 didn't really say anything, but the number 3 car was like, hey, do you guys, got to make sure we help out those Hendrick cars today, and then asking if the number 1 car knows the deal to not gain any spots. That's where you kind of mess up. You can do these things, but you can't say it on the radio. And if you guys remember when the 3 car wrecked the 22 and the 11 at Richmond, and the spotter said, wreck them, there's just probably some things that you probably shouldn't say over the radio knowing everybody can hear them. So do I think that the 3 car at least is going to get a penalty? I believe so. I certainly think there'll be fines. Like I said, I don't think anything will change with the playoff order, so that kind of leaves the precedent being, okay, how much money are you willing to spend, or risk, I should say, to get a manufacturer teammate into the playoffs? So we'll see. Maybe if they do get fined, maybe Rick Hendrick will come out and, pay a little half of it or something like that.
There you go. Do you got time for another segment?
Of course.
All right. Well, let's answer 2 more questions real quick, and then we'll take a break, and we will finish off with the playoffs because, this is it. We're down to the final race. So give me the driver yesterday with low expectations, but ended up having a very impressive finish.
Yeah, I got to give a shout-out to Austin Cindric, who gets a 4th-place run, a guy who could have been in this round if he just wasn't caught up in a gigantic wreck at Talladega. Comes out there where his 2 teammates make it into the Final 4. Austin Cindric comes out there and gets a 4th-place run going to the season finale. I'm looking for him to do some big things next year for sure.
And on the flip side of that, give me the driver with high expectations, but they ended up having a disappointing finish.
The pole sitter, Martin Truex Jr. in his second-to-last race as a full-time competitor, at least. We'll know he'll be coming back sometimes next year, but a track that he's so dominant on, he wins the pole, kind of falls off a little bit, and then he speeds on pit road and then has another issue, and then they finish 24th. So, what a day where he thought he could have gotten that final win. Just has a terrible day, and they end up finishing 24th.
All right. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line right now with RJ Starcevic. RJ, when we get back, we're going to be going over the Xfinity recap and then the final preview for the Final 4. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for the Mosley Dolphins. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, more Round the Track with RJ.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdogs.
Oh, I did want to do a shout out. I mentioned that we had gotten a Tom Brady autograph patch card in, and somebody heard us on the radio, and it's by. So ESPN Radio, they were listening to it, and they came in the shop and bought it.
Let's go, dude.
Here comes Randy for the commission.
Yeah.
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Best Way Portable Buildings has been your portable building specialist since 1989. Before you invest your hard-earned money someplace else, owner Jason Mulder invites you to stop by Best Way and get a quote on just about any size building. And whether you buy with Best Way or not, it's worth the trip just to meet Best Way Buddy. Say hello, buddy. Good boy. Best Way Portable Buildings, just north of Harts Marine on 231, and online at bestwayportablebuildings.com. The best in portable, period. Tell them Buddy sent ya.
Are you tired of hearing 2 weeks when you call to get your boat worked on? Hey folks, it's Chris Kramer with Kramer Marine and Outdoor, and we'll get you in and back out on the water as quick as possible. We're a full-line Yamaha outboard dealer and Suzuki outboard dealer, and we have master-trained certified mechanics on site. So if it's just an annual service, electronics install, trolling motor install, or all the way up to a full repower, we can take care of you. So stop by and see us in the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd next to Bill Kramer GM, or call us at 850-851-0453.
Mornings on ESPN Northwest Florida just got unsportsmanlike.
I get very frustrated how little runway these coaches have to actually turn things around, build something, and make a difference. It's like by week 6, we're ready to fire people all the time. Give them a chance. Like, can we just wait until the end of the year to actually try to diagnose? I'm sick of it.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle. Woo! Weekdays 5 to 7 on ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to the most dangerous afternoon show on terrestrial radio.
It's dangerous.
It's illegal in 5 states. The Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back to the Afternoon Underdogs, your home for the Auburn Tigers and Mosley football and the NFL and college football, and we've got
everything else.
Everything else, man. We're going to start airing table tennis matches live from the Czech Republic here soon. We've got Monday Night Football right here on ESPN Northwest Florida tonight. Cover starting at 6:30 for a 7:15 kick. Is going to be the Bucks and the Chiefs, and should be a good one. We'll go over some props later on in our final segment of the afternoon. We left off talking with RJ Starcevic. He is the creator of the Motor Stardom page, and you can go follow that on Instagram. Become another follower for RJ from ESPN Northwest Florida. He is amassing them at a very quick rate, and we're very appreciative of him giving us some of his time. So, RJ, before we dive into the Xfinity recap, we want to recap something that wreaked havoc in the Xfinity series. Brian, go ahead.
Well, in watching kind of to catch up on the race, I noticed that some fisticuffs flew at the end of the Xfinity race.
You guys love this one.
Well, all right, so I have 2 questions for you. Number one, has Chandler Smith ever thrown a punch in his life? And number 2, does it look like eerily reminiscent of Joey Logano going after Ryan Newman? I mean, this is a fight I don't think you should pick.
Yeah, I was going to say, Coach, I was like, you guys would love it. There was a fight, but I was going to ask if you guys had seen it because I don't want to hype it up too much because there wasn't, like, the descriptions, it say it was a punch, and, you can say it was a punch, or you could say it was like a slap or something. There's something that happened there, but it certainly, with how animated the conversation was before, as you can tell leading up to that, I thought they were throwing down. And we've seen Cole Custer, tackle people before in years past, and he's also the driver that was sponsored by WWE the last few races, so it kind of fits with the theme. But yeah, no, I thought it was certainly going to be more. There was a little shove there, I guess, but tempers were flaring, and I guess they flared, and the flare went out really fast. I thought it was going to go for a little bit longer there. I'm right there with you.
Well, and not to belabor this because it was a quick thing, but after the little closed fist, open hand slap, somehow he morphed both into one. The funnier thing to me was Chandler Smith immediately looked for someone to quickly get in between them. Like, it was...
You better hold me back, boy.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look.
Yeah, it looked like he kind of turned around and something, and then, Cole Custer was just standing there, he took it. He was laughing, too.
Yeah, he was.
Like most of the one of the angles, you can see him just sitting there kind of cracking up, and he turns around and he keeps laughing, and it did look like he was waiting for somebody to come in there, because usually NASCAR security's pretty, they are pretty quick nowadays. Yeah. They don't let you. I mean, you saw with the Stenhouse punch, all he got was one punch, and then all of a sudden they're ready. They're tackling people, and it's hard to fight nowadays, but they had the opportunity, and I unfortunately have to say they didn't really capitalize on it.
They need to escort them straight to the octagon or the boxing ring with some boxing gloves. But give us a brief recap of what went down in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, lots of. As you can tell, there was lots of paint traded on the track because that's the reason why people will go after each other on pit road. Cole Custer and Chandler Smith were fighting for that final playoff spot, and that's really where the emotions boiled over. They had a run-in earlier this year, a few weeks back at Kansas. No slaps were thrown or anything, but they did say, hey, watch yourself down the line, and Cole Custer got moved out of the way by Chandler Smith before a caution, and then coming to a restart, Cole Custer just shipped him off into turn 1 and 2, and that ended Chandler Smith's chances of winning the race and getting into the playoffs. So obviously Chandler Smith was pretty upset, feeling that Cole Custer cost himself a shot at advancing for the championship, but it is Cole Custer that's going to get to go on and defend his championship. So we're looking at a Final Four of Austin Hill, A.J. Allmendinger, Cole Custer, and then the veteran Justin Allgaier, who seems like he's been in that championship round 50 billion times. Hopefully he's going to be able to come up with the win this time. But, by the way, in the race, it was Eric Almirola getting the victory for Joe Gibbs Racing. And the funny story is they're fighting for an owner's championship in that 20 car. So he's technically going for a championship as well for his team on Saturday night, but it just won't be talked about a ton. But he will be going for gold.
There you go, man. Well, we've got one race left. It's going to be over there at Phoenix Raceway. I think, ironically, it's the Xfinity 500. Is the Xfinity Series race going to be the Cup Series 300?
No, I'm not sure. I guess that would be ideal. I guess it's just called the NASCAR Xfinity Series Championship from what I'm looking at right now. So they're not really having anything for it. They don't. I guess they don't usually sponsor the premier, the championship races anymore. I guess just flexing. We got the money, I guess.
There you go. Well, we're down to 4 drivers in the Cup Series right now. You got Ryan Blaney, the big winner from Martinsville. You got Joey Logano. You got Tyler Reddick, which would be huge for Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin, and Team 2311. And then you got our guy, Billy Byron, William Byron. Let me ask you this first. Who do you want to see win?
Well, I have to, as far as wants, for bragging rights, I would have to stick with my guy, right? When we started the playoffs, I said Tyler Reddick was going to win the championship, and this was his year, and it's looked rocky at times, but you know what? He made it all the way through, and even with all, this, I said that before the lawsuit stuff even started. So I'd have to ride with my guy. You can make great cases for all 4 drivers. Ryan Blaney has a ton of momentum right now. Joey Logano is Joey Logano. He's kind of like Tom Brady towards the end of his career, where it's like you want to bet against him, but you feel like you can't. And then William Byron, I feel like, is kind of the underdog in this situation. But I'm still rolling with my boy Tyler Reddick. I think he gets it done this weekend. In the midst, how crazy is that? I mean, Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan are suing NASCAR, and NASCAR could be the one standing with them holding up the trophy at the end of the day on Sunday. That would be a very insane visual, considering they were both in a courthouse today.
Yeah.
It's like Pete Rozelle handing the Lombardi Trophy to Al Davis, after everything. That'd be a great look.
Is there any update from what went down in the federal courthouse today in that lawsuit between 2311 and NASCAR?
Yeah, nothing official. They were in there for 2 hours, and nothing really came out of it. They said that they would hope to have a ruling by Friday, but the current status is right now, obviously the teams are fighting, saying that, the biggest headline was saying that, hey, if we aren't granted charters for next year, our drivers and our sponsors have the right to leave in their contract, saying that Tyler Reddick, ultimately, if he's not a charter driver, Monster Energy could walk, Tyler Reddick could walk. The same thing goes for Front Row Motorsports. So them saying that there's a lot of stuff on the line, NASCAR fighting back, saying, hey, well, we're giving you more revenue share. What more do you want? Whole bunch of stuff that was talked about today. Wish I was in that courtroom for 2 hours, or maybe I don't. I don't know. But they didn't really come out with anything today. Hopefully we'll get a ruling by Friday. Of course, it has to be on championship weekend where there isn't enough to talk about.
Yeah, so we want to see Tyler Reddick win. I'm right there with you. I think that storyline is just absolutely epic. If you had Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Michael Jordan, and the NASCAR officials there handing them the Cup Series championship. But who do you think wins? You gave us 4 great reasons: the momentum for Ryan Blaney, the Tom Brady effect for Joey Logano, and then the underdog aspect of Billy B or William Byron. But who do you think has the best opportunity, especially when we're talking about the specific racetrack at Phoenix?
I am going to have to go with, like I said, I will obviously still be riding with my pick in essence, but for my pick right now, if I threw all that out the window, I have to go with momentum, and I have to go with Ryan Blaney. We've seen so many times now a driver go into Martinsville, win in that situation, and then come out the next week at a similar type of racetrack as far as package goes and go out and win at Phoenix. Ryan Blaney, I think, has been really fast, really consistent. He's shown in the past that he's won at Phoenix, not just the championship race, but he's won in March a few times before. I think he has the momentum on his side. Team Penske has the momentum on their side. They got 50% of the drivers in this Final Four. I honestly think with the momentum right now, I think Ryan Blaney goes back-to-back and is a 2-time NASCAR Cup Series champion at his young age.
Would that be the first back-to-back champion that we've had since Jimmy Johnson went, 6 or 7 times in a row?
Yeah, we've had a few 2-time champions since Kyle Busch won, and 2 years as well. Joey Logano obviously has won 2 years, being 2018, 2022, but we've never seen anybody go back-to-back since Jimmy Johnson, when he won his gazillion championships in a row. So I certainly think in today's era, right, of playoffs, unpredictability, winning back-to-back championships is a huge accomplishment for any driver.
Now, let me ask you from this perspective, which driver winning do you think would be best for the sport of NASCAR? Would it be the underdog aspect, the Tom Brady aspect, the 23-11 aspect, them getting their first championship as a team, or the momentum of Ryan Blaney? Which driver winning would be the best for NASCAR?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. I think I've best for NASCAR, I feel like 10 weeks ago, the 45 winning would have been the best for NASCAR. But now, if the 45, if they roll, 23-11 without charters on Friday, and then they win the championship on Sunday, that is just going to be an insane uproar. I think it would go down in history as one of the craziest championships ever won, because we wouldn't know what happens to the team after it. But I think best for NASCAR, I think for anybody, I think you got to reward consistency, and when you see a consistently good, driver win the championship, I think that's best. And I think William Byron, I feel like, has shown the most consistency this season, along with Ryan Blaney. But I think Tyler Reddick for the headlines, for the story, for something that we'd be talking about 50 years from now, and the regular season champion getting that title. I think Tyler Reddick would just come with so much for him and Michael Jordan and that team to win a NASCAR Cup Series championship. But how about Denny Hamlin winning his first NASCAR Cup Series title, right? 10 years ago, if you told him that, would you think it'd be as an owner, not a driver? I think he probably would have said no.
Yeah, that is an insane stat right there, RJ. Is it just the highest finisher of these 4 in this final race, or are points still a factor?
Yeah, so it's just points, stages out the window. It is just the stages will still be there. We'll still have cautions, right? Stage 1, Stage 2. Other drivers are still acquiring points for the full season standings, but as far as the championship, those are all out the window. It is just where you finish at the end of the race, at the end of 312 laps at Phoenix. So you can see, for the first time last year it happened, where the winner wasn't the winner of the championship. So like Ross Chastain won last year, won the race, but then Ryan Blaney was right behind and was gifted the championship. So we'll see if that same thing happens again this year, or we'll see one burnout on the front stretch, and that being the champion and the winner of the race.
All right. Well, give me your top 3 for Phoenix. Let's start with the Xfinity Series, and then for the Cup Series, I want you to give me your top 3 and then give me the order of how the Final 4 finish.
Gotcha. So over there in the Xfinity Series, I'll give you, for the first of my 3, I'll give you my championship pick for this year. I'm going with Justin Allgaier. I think he finally gets it done. Their short track program has been great, and I think Justin Allgaier is finally going to get that first championship that they really, really do need. And then 2 other guys that I think will be strong. I'll make them kind of outside the 4. I think Eric Almirola will be fighting for something. He's going to be fighting for that owner's championship, and they've been really fast lately. I think he's going to go get him some. And how about Sheldon Creed? Trying to get his first win of his career. I would assume he's going to be up there, be fast, and be gunning for that before he leaves Joe Gibbs Racing next year. And then over there for the Cup Series, I think 3 guys that will be fast. We'll go 3 non-playoff guys that I'll throw in there to watch right now. I think Kyle Larson is going to be racing with some revenge. I mean, 6 wins this season, and he's not contending for a title. I think he's going to be pretty upset and have a good race. Martin Truex Jr., it's the last race of his full-time career. I would expect him to be good there. He's been historically good at Phoenix, so I'd expect him to be fast. And then somebody racing with, the ultimate chip on their shoulder, Christopher Bell, bumped out by 1 point. I don't think they're going to go there and not try. They're just going to go there and try to win that damn thing.
I just drive around the wall the whole entire race.
They'll really stick it to him. But, I would assume him to just be racing really, really aggressively this weekend at Phoenix. And then the playoff 4, my finishing order, I think Ryan Blaney, I'll stick with that. I think he has just got the most momentum. I think he would finish first of all of these 4 drivers. I think a guy right there, kind of the story of his season, Tyler Reddick, maybe in that the second, the runner-up, the guy battling Ryan Blaney there at the end. Joey Logano, they haven't been super fast at the short tracks lately, but always seem to put it together when they need it. But I just don't see them getting it done this year. And then William Byron, I'll put him forth. He is the underdog. He could go out there and be really fast, but they've also struggled in this Phoenix race before. They were in this spot last year and just did not have the car to get it done. I would assume they'd bring a little better piece this weekend, but he's going to have to prove, something to get that win and get that championship. But I'm riding with Reddick to get that win for my pick at the beginning of the playoffs. But man, Ryan Blaney's got the momentum right now. It's going to be a tough race on Sunday.
I can't wait for RJ. Thanks again for all of the time that you give us, especially going back-to-back segments like that. And next Monday, we'll be talking about the championship race and maybe taking a brief view ahead of what it will look like in 2025.
Yes, sir. You guys have a wonderful week and happy championship weekend. Talk to you next Monday.
All right, that's RJ Starcevic. Make sure you go give him a follow on Instagram. Follow his page, Motor Stardom. He does a wonderful job keeping you up to date with the Xfinity and the Cup Series in the world of NASCAR, and plus a whole lot more to go along with it. Coming up next, we're going to be chatting with Steve Barnes, and we'll lead off with his best and worst of the weekend right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Suffer from political talk radio fatigue?
We know that under the 99% rate,
And tune into the most fun and exciting new radio show on the Gulf Coast. It's The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. From the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. Middays 11 to 1 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Monday's weather forecast. Partly cloudy tonight with a low near 70 and a wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. Mostly sunshine tomorrow morning, a moderate breeze and a temperature of 82. About the same in the afternoon and evening around 82 with very light showers and partly cloudy skies. A possibility of thunderstorms and light rain Wednesday and very warm around 80. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you looking to invest in rare coins and precious metals? Well, look no further. Coin and Bullion Reserves is Bay County's trusted source for rare coins and precious metals. Located in the heart of Panama City, our showroom is stocked with a vast selection of gold and silver bullion, rare coins, and currency. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned collector, we have what you're looking for. Our sales staff has over 50 years of experience to help guide you through your purchase. Come and visit Coin and Bullion Reserves today and build your collection with confidence.
Tired of flipping through channels and finding nothing good? Introducing Lucid Stream TV. Get over 2,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN Plus, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch local network channels from most major markets throughout the country. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. Just $41.99 a month. Cut the cord, not the fun. To get Lucid Stream TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click the Lucid TV logo.
WGSX Lynn Haven, W Field, Q Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota. ESPN Northwest Florida. From the diamond to the end zone. From the studio to the sideline. We're the destination for sports on the Gulf Coast. ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
Welcome back. It is hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We've got you covered for Monday Night Football tonight. Coverage starting at 6:30 for a 7:15 kick between the Bucs and the Chiefs. We'll talk more later about it, Brian, but real quick, your initial reaction to tonight's game. No spread, any of that. Did the Chiefs take care of business and continue on with their undefeated season to this point?
I think so. They've been pretty good on Monday night. And look, the Bucs, I mean, they're down to their 18th receiver at this point. I mean, it's going to be a tall order. I would imagine that Kansas City takes care of business tonight. And, it would be nice if they actually started looking a little better. I mean, look, they're undefeated. That's what you want to be, but they haven't looked this sharp. So I have a feeling they're going to finally show some of that and maybe kind of get this second half of the season rolling.
All right. Well, it's going to be a good one, and coverage starts 6:30, 7:15. I'm right there with you. I think that the Chiefs keep it rolling. I think we've got some props that we're going to go over later on, final segment of the show, but we don't have Steve Barnes on us. I told you guys a little bit of a fib. Not my fault, though, so we'll get back to Steve next Monday. He is alive, though, if you did see.
That was crazy.
Yeah, he called Brian and I last week early sometime and was like, hey, just so you know I'm alive. And I'm like, well, just so you know I'm talking to you right now. So I kind of figured unless Go started getting cell phone privileges and we just weren't aware of that. But apparently, I guess someone in Pensacola, also by the name Steve Barnes, passed away, but they were using his...
I think they got, in the obit, I think they got it crossed up who was who.
Yeah.
And it caused Steve to get a lot of flowers to his place. So, I mean...
like, people don't even call to check on you. They're just like, well, we're to that age now.
Crazy story.
Yeah, absolutely. Your best and worst of the sports weekend, though, you guys can call in at 850-215-6290. You can also text them to that same very number. We'll go over some of the ones that we had on Facebook, and then we'll dive into some of our own because there was a lot of great stuff that happened in the world of the NFL and college football this last weekend. We'll start with C. Brad, or Cleveland Brad. Best of the weekend for him was the Donovan Mitchell game winner over the Bucs to stay undefeated.
Cavs are hot.
Yeah, I mean, they are, and that's why he's focused on them. No longer worried about the Cleveland Browns or anything else going on in the land, if you will. And the worst will probably be the Browns from here on out. Just a tough game for them. I mean, really, you got to give a lot of credit to Jim Harbaugh and kind of the turnaround that he's had with the Chargers, right? Last year, they were 5-12, I believe, and they're 5-3 at this point. They're doing this without a real good wide receiving core. Quentin Johnston stepped up huge yesterday, 4 catches, 118 yards, and a touchdown to go along with that. Each year, no matter what team he takes over, they struggle the year prior to him, and then the following year, they're looking a lot more pretty than what they did before him. How good of a coach is Jim Harbaugh, Coach?
Well, he's a great coach. That was never really the knock on him at Michigan. He's eccentric.
Yeah.
and some things that he does, and he maybe plays a little loose with the rules at times here, but no, he's always done a good job with that, and I was a little worried about it because he shipped out all of his receivers, and the whole thing about him getting to work with Justin Herbert was, this is great, but he needs weapons, and he brought in Ladd McConkey out of the draft, who they loved at the Senior Bowl. And so, he had been a little bit hurt, but in these last 2 weeks, he's been a great receiver. Quentin Johnston has broken out in his second season. He made a great draft pick, which broke my heart as a Titans fan because I really wanted Joe Alt going to Tennessee. So I think he's done a really solid job here, but we'll see, because I think second half, their schedule gets a little tougher in the second half, if I remember right. So we'll have to see how it plays out from here. But, he's already done a really good job.
Coach Andy Siegel, your partner in crime for most of the high school pregame shows, which I don't know what the what we'll be doing during the playoffs. There is no game for Mosley this week, as they did finish off the season. We'll talk more about that later on here in this segment. But Coach Andy Siegel, best Bear placing 5th at Worlds, and that's not here. This was not over here in the United States, y'all. This was over there.
I had he got 4th in the Greco-Roman.
All right. Well, this
pretty
is
cool.
Yeah. So 4th in Greco-Roman, 5th at Worlds, I guess overall there. And the worst for Coach Siegel is the Cardinals crushing the Bears, which I just really wasn't surprised by. The Cardinals, they started off the year looking really good against the Bills in a losing effort. Then it was kind of like, okay, well, that must have just been a facade. And then in the last 2-3 weeks, they've started to look a little bit better. And the Bears have been bad on the road. Coach Eberflus and staff, I think this is final year for him, even though the Bears have done some good things. But
all you need to do, there's a video making the rounds out there that typifies what's going on there with certain players and the coaching staff. And it looked like Caleb Williams was going out of bounds, and so DJ Moore was kind of doing a comeback. And, he can claim it looked like he was going out of bounds, but he just kind of trotted off the field and then kept walking and kept walking and kept walking. All the while, the play's still going on, and went over and sat on the bench. So, it's not like, he walked off, I hear something's going on, and try and run back on. No, he was done. So it's not a good look.
Yeah.
Well, I understand he can't come back, but just like there wasn't even like a jerk back to, oh my God, the play's still going on or something like that. No, it was, I'm done. I'm sitting on the bench. It's just, it kind of typifies the way things have gone the last couple of weeks.
100%. And it's not the greatest look. I mean, Caleb Williams has talent, but he's not a top even 15 to 20 quarterback when you look across the board, statistically speaking. Completion percentage is at like 61.4, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Is that terrible? Absolutely not. But it's also not what you would expect when the Bears kind of revamped this roster. He's at around 1,600 yards, which I think is maybe in that 24 to 21 range. It's serviceable, right? And he's got a long time in this league. So I'm not saying, I told you he was a bust. No, not at all. But really, until you see the offensive line give him a chance, it's going to be really difficult to see what we could actually get out of Caleb Williams. And then here's the other thing is he's going to have to make quicker decisions sometimes instead of relying on his athletic ability to get him out of sticky situations.
The amazing thing, though, is this is a 4-4 football team.
Yeah. Well,
they're 4-4 right
after
now.
The loss yesterday.
The funny thing is they're 4-0 at home and 0-4 on the road.
Right.
But I mean, we're talking about a team that's been perennial basement dwellers here lately. And so it is better. But there's still some issues there.
They were also a team that last year I believe was 7-10 is what they finished at, and that was with Justin Fields going down, Tyson Bagent coming in out of Sheffield State. Like you had a lot of wonky things going on with the Bears last year, and they were able to kind of prevail. So and their season's not done. I mean, at 4-4, that's a lot better than what 9 or 10 teams in the NFL are looking at right now at 2-6. My Tennessee Titans are Tennessee Titans being one of those teams.
We're 2-6 on a 1-game winning streak.
Woohoo! It almost didn't get to that opportunity last night either, or yesterday afternoon. Dave Neat saying best moment was the Oregon Ducks beating Michigan, covering the point spread easily. The worst moment was potentially seeing Greg Popovich's coaching career come to an end. Truly one of the greatest coaches of all time. He's dealing with a medical ailment right now, so he's not able to be on the sideline. And Coach Pop, one of the greatest to do it, doing it with superstars, doing it without superstars. I mean, there's, most of the time they're superstars, right? But also, I mean, when you have the Twin Towers and David Robinson and Mr. Fundamental, and Tim Duncan, I think that makes things easier on you, but I don't know. What do you have, Pop, all time?
I don't know. I'm not a huge Pop fan. Look, I probably let my ideological differences with him cloud that a little bit. And that's unfortunate, but I probably do, to be fair. He's a great coach. I'm not going to take that away from him. I don't know, to me, if he's like a Mount Rushmore, maybe. He might be right off of that. I would really need to think about it.
Off the top of your head, your Mount Rushmore would be what? Phil Jackson?
Auerbach. Red Auerbach's got to be on there. Okay. Phil Jackson would be on there.
Pat Riley?
Pat Riley, probably. Although, I mean, he benefited from having a heck of a lot of talent as well.
I mean, that one is tough. I think for me, because Red Auerbach, well before my time.
Pure coaching, I thought Chuck Daly was outstanding. Huh. I really did. With
Suns?
the Pistons.
Oh, Pistons, okay.
With the Pistons and then later, I believe, with the Nets. I'd need to think on that one a little bit more. I mean, there were some great coaches who didn't have, I mean, Jack Ramsey was phenomenal with Portland, and if you go way back, there's some more, but I think definitely Auerbach and Phil and probably Pat before you get to Pop. Pop could be in the conversation to be on there. He's just not my favorite, and probably for, like I said, probably for ideological reasons.
Caveman Rick says load management then for Pop. So
yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah, it started with Kawhi. Kawhi is still, I don't even know if he's played yet this season. It's kind of a wild situation there, as well as they kept him out of the Olympic team just so that he'd be ready for the NBA season, and hasn't started. I don't think that he started playing yet this year. AG says Louisville beating Clemson at night in Death Valley. I think that was one of the more unexpected wins of the weekend, maybe of the season. When you talk about how Louisville's been playing, I would say
in
consistently.
Death Valley, it surprised me.
Yeah, in Death Valley, and Clemson has been under the radar, playing well, really blowing teams out ever since they've been blown out against Georgia.
Well, and they appeared to be on this collision course with Miami in the conference championship game, and it just proves, I mean, that this year's taught us anything. It's you can't look past any week in any conference, and that's the case with Clemson. I mean, it reached up and bit them, and excuse me, right now they're on the outside looking in because, Pitt went down, but Pitt went down to SMU, who I think would have the nod over Clemson at this point.
Yeah,
so
SMU's undefeated in the conference.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's what a year. What a year.
It's been a lot of fun to keep up with. As AG's worst is the Bengals talking about trades to bolster roster is just gaslighting the fans. Gator Jamie says his best. Commanders keep rolling. They got a big win over the Giants. Really feel like a good team now. I would say that. I think there's a lot of teams, a lot of players who, if they're going to be traded, I hear that they're trying to chirp to get themselves traded to the Commanders.
Well, they look like they're having fun playing football.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Is that not surprising that it's Dan Quinn, kind of the head coach over there, and all the flack that he got over there with the Dallas Cowboys? And
you get on a roll when you start winning. Winning is fun.
Yeah, that's a great point there. And the worst for Gator Jamie is DJ Lagway going down. If he doesn't get hurt, I believe the Gators upset the Dogs. I think Billy has earned the right to keep his job. And we've talked about this. You got to win the games that you're supposed to, and in the games that you're not supposed to, at least show some flashes or show us something. So what do you think? Has Billy Napier earned the right to keep his job? I'm still on the fence about it, Mr. Feeney.
It's more complicated than that in this respect. I like Napier as a coach. He's made some bonehead decisions, don't get me wrong. The problem at this point is the Florida fans and even people in the athletic department, this, that, and another, have chirped so much that at this point, everybody's just waiting for the shoe to drop. So even if they keep him going in next year, you're still going to have those murmurs. You're still going to have all that. It reminds me a little bit of LSU with Les Miles. You went through that run where they kind of tried to buy him out, and then he won and got to finish that season. And then coming into the next season, you could tell they were just laying in wait for the first chance they got to push him out, and then they did. So I almost think at this point you've almost cast the die on yourself, and you probably need to move him on just to get some clarity going within the football department, within recruiting, with everything like that, which I hate to say because I actually think he's a very capable coach, but I think it's too far gone at this point.
Our final one on Facebook is Chef Ross saying, we did have a good time at the Pop's Pick and Barbecue over there at the break room. The ribs were wonderful, the baked beans were wonderful, and the coleslaw was good as well. So shout out to Chef Ross. Hopefully he got close to what his goal was for. All of that was going to Beach Care Services, so we appreciate you. Appreciate what you did there, Chef Ross. His best was Saquon going all figure skater over that dude.
That was unreal.
I mean, when I saw him hit the first spin, I'm thinking, okay, he's about to spin around the other guy as well. And then when he goes up and just whoop, I'm like, all right. I would have loved to hear the 2-minute blitz from the 2-minute blitz from Chris Berman and what they had to say on that yesterday evening. Maybe I'll go back and watch that since I'm still.
Do you get you got mossed on that one?
Oh, I think you got quanned on that one. You got Barkley'd. Worst was all Wisconsin teams losing and not looking good in said efforts. I can't remember who Wisconsin lost to in college football. It was obviously a Big Ten battle, but the Green Bay Packers did not look good against the surging Detroit Lions. Jared Goff, I mean, his completion percentage is at the top of the league right now. Only trailing him is Tua, but Tua hasn't played in as many games as he has. The last 30 attempts that Jared Goff has thrown to Amon-Ra St. Brown have been completed. You've got the two-headed monster in Jahmyr Gibbs and in David Montgomery. I mean, the Lions are firing on all cylinders, and that was with the ejection of Brian Branch yesterday.
Wisconsin lost 42-10 to Iowa.
And they had
that's more points than Iowa scored in 3 years.
They've actually been playing good this year, and they've got a really good running back whose name is not getting mentioned, which is so surprising to me. I don't even. The thing is that name should be embedded into my head right now, but he's up there in numbers with Ashton Genty, but no one's talking about him. And he's doing it in the Big Ten, and that's no slight to Boise State, but my goodness. Then our final best and worst of the weekend, Coach Brian and I will give ours at 5:40 because coming up next, we've got the PCB Hobby Takeover. But he says he's listening from Gatlinburg, Tennessee on the app. So that's one of my best right there is you're taking us with you where you go. You can go get the ESPN Northwest Florida.
It's a really cool town if you've never been.
You can go get the ESPN Northwest Florida app by going to your Google Play or your Apple Store, typing in 104.3 ESPN, and it will take you to where you need to go. His best, the Canes, still undefeated. How about that? Comeback and then blowout of Duke. That was very impressive. Cam Ward up there in the Heisman rankings right now. And his worst was Chase Elliott didn't make the championship four, but he still says, go Canes. So thank you for listening, James, Kelly. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to go ahead and take a quick time out. When we get back, we're taking things over with the PCB Hobby Takeover.
Set your alarm clock to wake up with the Coach Hales Show on ESPN Northwest Florida. In-depth local and college sports from expert insiders and a dash of controversy.
Can be deadly.
Weekday mornings 7 to 9.
Nothing says good morning like a drunken human alarm clock.
You're live from the J. Michaels studio.
We all know he loves the Florida Gators. That's okay.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
I can control the world.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with Monday's weather forecast. Partly cloudy tonight with a low near 70 and a wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. Mostly sunshine tomorrow morning, a moderate breeze and a temperature of 82. About the same in the afternoon and evening around 82 with very light showers and partly cloudy skies. A possibility of thunderstorms and light rain Wednesday, and very warm around 80. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Take your next adventure in an award-winning Kia from Bill Bird Kia. We invite you to stop by Bill Bird Kia today and test drive a new 2024 Kia. You'll see why everyone is talking about Kia. The 2024 Kia will give you the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. The SUV family has movement that inspires. Drive away today in a new 2024 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorento, or Telluride. Fuel the thrill and command the road in the luxury sedan from Bill Bird Kia. Drive away today in a new 2024 Kia K5. Performance, power, and design built just for you. Discover the new Kia at Bill Bird Kia. Bill Bird Kia, the original home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by 2435 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. We'll treat you just like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust. Your local community dealer is Bill Bird Kia.
The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty.
They're number one in the men's room.
I hope this place comes with toilet paper.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Oh, geez, this is going to be a photo finish.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, and this is ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes, along with Coach Brian Haddad, and we are your home for the NFL here on the Gulf Coast, and coverage starts tonight for the Buccaneers at the Chiefs at 6:30 for a 7:15 kick. So make sure that you are tuned in for that game. But now it is time for the PCB Hobby Takeover, and I don't know if Todd has ever seen a better day than Monday, because that was a cue for you to say Happy Monday! What's going on?
What's
Todd
up,
and
y'all?
Julia, PCB Hobby in the building with us.
All right, what's going on, everybody? We are here and ready to rock on this fine Monday. Excited for Monday Night Football, actually, because the Bucs aren't doing too bad. Not necessarily a favorite of mine. Actually, I heard you guys at the last segment talk about the Commanders, and I can never see them not as the Redskins, but whatever. But they were always my team growing up, so like to see them doing well. Anyways, just excited for Monday Night Football and excited to maybe watch some football. Of course, I will be streaming tonight, so catch us on the comic stream on PCB Hobby. And I think we got the coin streaming going right now. So
Also, I just want to say that last week we called it with the Dodgers.
Oh, yeah.
We did.
We did call it.
There you go.
Call it. Absolutely. So
3 Dodgers and a Yankee in the building.
Can these be noise-canceling headphones?
They cannot. They cannot.
If you take them off, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only noise canceling that's going to happen. So I'm sorry, Brian.
Sorry,
No,
Brian.
you're not. No, you're not.
You're
Our
right.
Let's just move on.
condolences.
You're right. I'm not sorry.
But Brian did pleasantly surprise us. He wasn't going to dress up for our company Halloween party. And all of a sudden, we were just eating pizza, and someone walks through the door in a full pig costume. We're like,
Oh,
"Who's
Razorback
that?"
over there.
That was
Who's
no
that?
joke.
I think a few
no.
people ran for the door.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was a pink one. It was a pink costume.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not Razorback. Not even close.
Yeah.
the-
So I want to publicly apologize for hating on you, Brian.
Well,
Very, very happy.
well.
But if you didn't show up to the party, yeah, she still hates you.
Well, here's the worst part about it. I didn't have to go shopping for that outfit. So
You just had that one on standby.
He had that one on set.
it happened to be in the house. So
That was the main question of the night was,
Yeah.
Brian, you had a pig costume at your house
Who
already?
doesn't?
What? Yeah, we were like, yeah, who does? Where did you come up with that? Anyways, so it was quite interesting. We had our Monday night Halloween party, and that was a lot of fun. And then hopefully everybody had fun on Halloween and was safe. We've had a lot go on this week. I'm going to let Julia tear right into it.
Yeah, it is a crazy week. So Thursday for organized play, we have Lorcana and One Piece. Friday is where it starts to get interesting. We have Magic, the Foundation set coming out. So we'll be having a pre-release for that on Friday night. And a second pre-release on Saturday. And that's in the two-headed giant format. On Saturday, we are also having our Super Saturday sale. The second Saturday of every month. So it's basically 10% off of sealed product. And if you spend over $75, you get to spin the wheel and you can win prizes, store credit, all kinds of things.
Football games will be on the TV.
Yes.
Like, no reason not to be there.
Right. And it's also the monthly PSA submission deadline to get your cards graded for the month. So that's going to be super exciting. You're going to want to be there on Saturday. And also, we just have a lot of new stuff coming out, especially for trading cards and sports cards. So, and that a lot of that's sealed product. So you're going to get 10% off on Saturday. So that's the time to go. And Sunday is Pokemon. We just had a pre-release for the set 8. And so you can be a great chance for you to come in. Surging Sparks, yes. Yeah. So it'd be a great chance if you haven't gotten to play it yet. Then come on Sunday at 2:30. And so this week we have Pokemon releasing today, Magic releasing on Friday, Star Wars Unlimited releases today. That's what is it?
Oh, I saw it, and I can't remember the name of it now.
Twilight of
Rebellion,
Republic.
Republic.
Of the Republic, yeah. So that releases today. And we get all of these releasing early just because we're a brick-and-mortar hobby shop. So we're going to get it a couple days before Walmart, Target, those big box stores. So super exciting. We're starting to get our Black Friday sales together. So stay tuned on our Instagram and Facebook at PCB Hobby. There will also be some really great sales the week of Black Friday on stream on eBay Live and TikTok Live. So follow us there at PCB Hobby.
What's the product that's coming out this week?
Stadium Club Baseball.
There it is.
Going back to 1991, this product dropped. This product's so old, they were touting their relationship with Kodak back then.
Nice.
That's how I remember it. The best photography in the business. It's what I always loved about cards was Upper Deck kind of took it to another level in 1989, and then Stadium Club has owned it since. So I always loved this set. Beautiful cards, great photography, on-card autographs, and it comes out this Wednesday. So it's always a favorite. And then next Wednesday is probably the big release of the year and Chrome Update for baseball. Paul Skeen's True Rookie comes out. All of those debut one-of-one patches from the player's major league debut. So much stuff coming out. I mean, there's lots of soccer dropping. There's football dropping every other week. There's wrestling coming out. NASCAR cards are out. It's an amazing time right now. I mean, Star Wars Galaxy. It's not trading cards. It's just cards.
Right.
Those came out and they're beautiful as well. So there's just a ton of stuff out there. And I do want to tell, because we have so many college football fans who listen to the show, the order sheet went out today. Bowman Chrome U football at the end of the month.
Yeah, it's going to be hot.
So those are going to be, I think it's the 27th they're saying it's going to drop. So just in time for Black Friday and everything should be Bowman Chrome U football, and it's going to be great. I saw the checklist. Ryan Williams is going to be in there.
17 years old.
Yeah, it's going to be something else. So.
Yeah, that's
cool.
Amazing.
That got me excited when I saw that today.
Do you think that's more advantageous for college football or the NCAA or maybe whoever the suppliers are for Bowman Chrome in this particular case, to do it at this point in the season as we lead into the college football playoff rather than prior to the season starting?
100%. Timing really, in the end, with this stuff is everything. I remember the days when you would have Bowman Chrome coming out in December.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm confused. Baseball season's over. Why is Bowman Chrome releasing right now? But I remember those days. But they finally, I think, learned a thing or two through COVID and getting backed up and stuff like that, and realized they could reset and get it out there when they needed to get it out there. And so now this is perfect. Yeah. They're dropping stuff when they should be dropping stuff, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I would have loved it right about now, but as long as it's in November, I think it's good. And it allows, what it does is allows them time to get these freshmen and new players the ability to do autographs and things, get pictures in their uniform, which I do think is good.
Right, exactly.
Because those are the newsmakers.
I wanted to backtrack on one thing real quick. We mentioned earlier in the show already about it was the great PSA grading deadline. And I just wanted everybody to know and realize that we accept submissions at our retail store. We accept submissions for sports cards, for TCGs, and for comic books. So and we're going to at some point soon be accepting coin submissions as well. So we are your home for submissions. If you want to submit cards, we have very great pricing on that, and we do it fairly quickly. We definitely submit once a month. We're actually part of a larger submission group, and so we get decent rates. And so I want everybody to know that.
It's super easy too. You just fill out a form
in
shop, and we'll call you when it's
we
ready.
are definitely the place to go for submitting your cards and the home of the submissions. We have got this down on lock.
Absolutely.
And the crew, Ethan and Josh, just got back from Dallas Card Show, and they said it was just slam packed, and they picked up a lot of cool stuff.
That's what they said. They sent me some pictures along the way. There was one really cool card that they picked up. They picked up a Patrick Mahomes. I believe it was a downtown.
It was.
And it was autographed by him. Very, very rare. Graded by PSA. PSA 8 with a 10 auto. Which is pretty awesome, on-card auto. So very exciting card, very cool stuff. We got a lot of stuff, like they said, coming up for Black Friday. I'm sure we'll have some sales. We'll do all kinds of good stuff and a lot of product coming out. So get ready for that Christmas rush, because we are going to have the stuff for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and come visit us before, because we know that the visitors are going to start rolling in too, and they're going to be spending big bucks too. So locals, get out there and grab it while it's here.
Absolutely. So we're pretty excited about that. Anyways, we got a lot of streaming going on as always. We just changed our streaming schedule for, I believe, Monday through Friday for the coin stream. So we're starting fairly early in the morning. I want to say 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're going till 2 o'clock in the evening, or in the morning, the next morning. So we're going to be streaming actually 18 hours straight. Not one person. We're doing shifts, but we're going to be doing that a lot more often. So if you want to get on before work, we'll be on. If you want to get on at lunchtime, we'll be on. After work, of course. If you're an early morning person and want to catch the late night show, we'll be on streaming coins, and we're really amping up. We've hired several new people. Always looking for coin positions, specifically in streaming, and looking for streamers if anybody's interested in a job. And we have hired several new people, and we're pretty excited about that. We hired a fantastic new lady in the shipping department, and then we also hired another comic book person, which actually Brian met on Saturday.
Yeah, real nice.
So very good. And then we also have a position open for a sports card enthusiast, somebody who wants to do retail sports cards. So if anybody's interested in that type of thing, hit us up, go by the store, fill out an application, tell us who you are, what you like, what you do, and see if we can't fit you in.
All right. I'm going to navigate the political minefield here. I'm not getting into. I'm not getting into what happens tomorrow.
I told myself, do not go to radio today.
I'm not getting into what happens tomorrow.
Brian is going to ask me something political.
Here's what I'm going to ask you: do we expect gold and silver to continue their ride after all of this?
Yes.
Because one way or another, I'm assuming.
Is that a good or a bad answer, Tom?
I'm assuming this is going to be done tomorrow night. That's a heck of an assumption in our current election. But half of the country is going to be upset, and half's going to be elated.
We are talking about the college football rankings at this point. Brian, shut up. No, I'm just kidding. So we have an election, a big election tomorrow. I urge everybody to go out and vote.
Sure.
I think it's the right thing to do. By yourself, by the country, by your family, and that's our freedom, and you should definitely do it. No matter who you're voting for, no matter who gets in office, if you're interested in silver and gold, here's what I think is going to happen. I think nothing is going to change. I think, in fact, the levels that we've seen and hit have for a long time needed to be where they're at.
Yeah.
For just in general. Right. Okay, so I don't think anything in the election is going to change that. Would it potentially go up even further, or we see another run of it because of some sort of pandemonium or scared or something like that? Maybe.
Yeah.
If you guys are asking me for my honest opinion, I think if Harris gets in, I think it'll run. If Trump gets in, I don't think it'll go anywhere. I don't think it'll run, but I don't think it'll go backwards.
But you think it's actually reaching the values it should have been?
It should have been this way for years.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, it should have been this way for years. I am shocked that it was never this high. Gold's at an all-time highs, 2,700 an ounce.
Do you think?
I
don't want to go into economic policy on the Afternoon Underdogs here. Do you think like
David Hayes does not support this message?
Yeah, exactly. Some of quantitative easing and some of keeping the interest rates artificially low affected that?
Right,
maybe?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I think, you're going to there's several sections of classes that think a certain way in silver and gold. And one of the far left, right, I don't know, just far away mentalities is that we're going to be trading silver and gold in the street. Look, I don't believe that. I don't believe that we'll hit a one world currency. I don't believe that there's anything like that going to go on. But what I do believe is that there actually is a physical use for silver and gold. I do believe there is only so much in the world. Obviously, there's not an infinite amount. I do believe that it's been the currency of use for thousands and thousands of years. And I don't think in this case that we're going to get away from history. Yeah. That's my opinion. Now, as far as what should it be, well, here's the biggest problem. The government doesn't value it at what it's valued at. The government values 1 ounce of gold at $50. That's what they put on the coin. It's a $50 gold piece.
That's right.
So you have to do the math here and say that at some point, something is going to have to change. We're going to have to be smarter than that, and we're going to have to change it to where gold really is a monetary value, more so than just spot, because spot gold and silver is just a commodity price. And what you got to understand, it can easily be manipulated by paper.
Sure.
In other words, you can own 1,000 ounces of silver but not physically have the silver. Now, how is that possible? Well, that's called
certificates.
That's certificates, and that's paper. So there's paper, and there's on paper, and then there's actual physical. And so you have another line of thinking that you have to physically hold this stuff and not have it on paper. So there's that line of thinking. If those people make a run at buying up as much as possible, that's where it will run prices up.
Yeah.
Again, whether that's if Harris or whether that's if Trump gets in, I don't know either way, honestly, on that specific model.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this, gold and silver won't shoot down if Harris gets in at all.
I was going to say,
will it shoot down if Trump gets in? Probably not, but will it stay? Probably. And look, in my business, the best thing you can see is it going up or going down. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter which way. Stagnant's bad.
Yeah.
So that's my
crazy.
opinion.
I've learned so much about that stuff this year. It's been, absolutely incredible. And like I said, I never thought I'd talk quantitative easing on the sports show.
I know,
but there it is.
But it's the truth. I mean, it's what we do every day. And so, and we do. We've had a very vigorous October with people coming in, buying and selling.
Yeah.
And so, because the movement. And so that's good.
Talk about kind of, baseball's going to the off season here. Football, obviously, right in the middle of theirs. Basketball and hockey just getting started. Talk about how people view sports differently, or has the fact now that they put out sports sets pretty much all year taken a little away from the old off-season, in-season thing?
I would agree with that sentiment exactly. I think it has taken away. Now, for being in the sports card business, I am glad that stuff comes out every month. I am glad because you have new inventory, you have new product, you have new stuff to sell, new stuff to talk about, new people that come out as rookies and stuff like that, and that's all great. What I also like is that every sport is not at the same time, like during summer, right? So you have football that starts up in August, September, and it goes to January, February, and then you've got basketball that's starting up soon. Like you said, hockey, baseball's just ending. You had baseball all summer. You have something to look forward to if you're a sports fanatic, number one. So I think being able to look forward to the actual products that come out with your favorite players on it or your favorite teams is fantastic as well. Again, not happy when they release basketball in June.
Sure.
There's no basketball in June. Why would you be releasing it there?
Yeah, just finishing.
You're just finishing. You know what I'm saying? So there's that's what I'm glad that they're starting to change, and they're starting to release the products really when they should be releasing them, which is during the season when there's the hype.
Yeah.
I mean, let's do it. Let's go during the hype.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion.
Well, and the nice thing is that, I know Julia talked about it last week, that always accepting collections and always looking to buy stuff
100%.
because,
Absolutely.
the store's open all year, but what a great time to get in and sell your collection. You're looking for money for Christmas, to get
100%.
presents, things like that. It's a great way. And we've had a lot of people in the last week or so kind of cashing in collections and things like that and, getting really good money for them because there's a lot of hot products out there right now.
There's a ton of hot products out there.
Everything's coming out.
Yeah, everything's coming. And that's the interesting thing, too. Economically, you start looking at whether people are holding money, whether they're saving money, whether they're selling stuff to gain more money, or whether they're spending money.
Yeah.
And that has a lot to do with, I think, the election. I think one way or the other, once the election's over, people will loosen their belts in one form or fashion.
I have never seen people be afraid to spend money at Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
It may not be real, it may be on that plastic, but I've never seen people afraid to spend money at Christmas, and I don't think that'll change.
I don't think it'll change
regardless of what happens tomorrow.
Thank God. Thank God.
Regardless of whether Oregon's number one or not.
Thanks. Hey, what a spin there, man. You're like a washing machine over there today.
Well, I'm the one who brought it up, so I had to bring it back.
Let's go. Anyway, so we are happy and excited for the Black Friday and Christmas and the season. And just hit us up. I mean, if you're looking for something, you need some extra cash, whatever it is, come see us. We have a retail location. We're at 11939 Panama City Beach Parkway. Phone number 850-320-8388. Give us a call, text us, whatever you want to do. We get the text through email, so we will check your text if you text the shop number. And come in and hang out with us. Again, we got a lot of play going on. That's a lot of fun. And there's a lot of camaraderie that goes in with that.
And we're upgrading our snack bar in the shop.
Very nice.
So also another reason to...
That's news to me. All right.
So yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on. So check us out, guys. We're in it to win it for the rest of the year for sure. And we're really not going anywhere for the next couple of months. So I think that we'll be just selling and streaming and having a good time. Let's do it.
Let's do it. It's always great to have Todd and Julia in the building with us, taking over with the PCB Hobby Takeover. Make sure to go see them. And if you, they've got all the streaming resources. Just type in PCB Hobby into your Google search engine and you will find them. But better than that, go see them at the physical location.
Super Saturday.
This Saturday, right?
That's it.
Exactly. So go check them out this Saturday. And is the snack bar going to be ready by then?
Maybe.
We're putting pressure on them. It will be. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, yes. I think everything comes in on Thursday. So yes.
Well, if I'm in there Friday, there may be
it might be gone. It'll be a one-day thing. That's Todd and Julia with PCB Hobby. Thank you guys again. And as always, it's a happy Monday when we have Todd in the building with us. And we will have him back next Monday at 5:20. Coming up next, we're going to dive into some Monday Night Football props. And maybe Coach Brian and I will give our best and worst of the weekend. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida.
The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is designed specifically for sports fanatics like you. The sports content you demand is always on. Live stream our national and local sports talk anywhere you go. Reach us on all social media. You can also be a part of the show. Call and text into our studios. Plus, up-to-the-minute weather and traffic maps. The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is available at the Apple Store and Google Play.
Take your next adventure in an award-winning Kia from Bill Bird Kia. We invite you to stop by Bill Bird Kia today and test drive a new 2024 Kia. You'll see why everyone is talking about Kia. The 2024 Kia will give you the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. The SUV family has movement that inspires. Drive away today in a new 2024 Kia Soul, Seltos, Sportage, Sorento, or Telluride. Fuel the thrill and command the road in a luxury sedan from Bill Bird Kia. Drive away today in a new 2024 Kia K5. Performance, power, and design built just for you. Discover the new Kia at Bill Bird Kia. Bill Bird Kia, the original home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by 2435 East 15th Street, Panama City, or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. We'll treat you just like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust. Your local community dealer is Bill Bird Kia.
The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty.
Auburn basketball returns November 6th.
Cardwell to the basket with authority. Unbelievable.
Bruce Pearl and the reigning SEC tournament champions are ready to take on the most challenging schedule in school history.
Right wing three, Denver. Yes! Big three. Tonight. Turn, shoot. Good.
Catch all the action on your home for Auburn basketball.
ESPN Northwest Florida. War Eagle.
He listens to Post Malone. He drives a Honda with ground effects and has Pennsylvania tattooed on his right tricep.
You're looking at a bad man.
David Hayes is part of the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Yep, tattoo removal is a beautiful thing these days. As you can see on my right tricep right there, there's no tattoo of Pennsylvania. I don't think that would ever be going on. I have been to the state a couple of times, but that is about my closest connection with Pennsylvania, who struggled with Ohio State. What'd you think of that Ohio State-Penn State game this last Saturday?
Yeah, I thought Ohio State would win. It played out kind of the way I thought. I mean, you never know how these things are going to go. And Penn State jumped out early, and Franklin remembered he was Franklin. I don't know. It wasn't like a huge error in the game, but that was Big Ten football to me.
Yeah.
20-13, good battle, two good football teams slugging it out, and it was about what I thought would happen. So,
well, I don't think there's any other blip on the radar for Ohio State outside of Indiana. We'll see what Indiana can do when they visit.
It's a team playing good football, man.
Really
They're
good
scary,
football. They are, and it is a lot of fun to watch. We are your home for the NFL, and tonight coverage starts at 6:30 for the Buccaneers and the Chiefs. Kick should be at 7:15, but there's a lot of rain and lightning in the area. So that could
always seems to be when I have players I need to score fantasy points. Yep.
Yeah, so
hashtag David Hayes rigged.
We'll keep you guys updated. Yeah, the waiver wire records. Man, I only lost in two leagues. I lost in two leagues fantasy wise. The money leagues, and one of them was against Boston Tim, and I played. Who did I play? Dadgummit. Keon Coleman, and I played. And last second, they said Brian Robinson Jr. wasn't going to be playing. So I had to go to the waiver wire, and I picked up Dalvin Cook because I was like, well, no Zeke. We'll see what happens. He got 0.8 of a point. Keon Coleman got like 5 points. One of that two of those coming off the 2-point conversion. Absolutely. Great point there. But I also left Cedric Tillman, who I originally had in, but then when they announced Amari Cooper was out, I was like, well, let's go with Keon Coleman. And I left also Quentin Johnston on the bench. So
to be fair, I'm losing. I'm going to lose this week in the Coach James Hale Show League. The league I'm actually doing well in. Even though I had Smith and Jigba as my flex and he scored like 825 points or whatever he had, I'm still going to lose that one. The one that's got me mad, and this is going to be my first worst of the weekend, is I'm playing against you in the other league that we're in, where I'm currently absolute dead last. I am the Mississippi State of our league, and I decided last week when they activated Puka Nacua on Wednesday, I'm like, there's no way they're going to play him Thursday night, or he's only going to get a few snaps, and he has like 20 points. So I'm like, all right, good. Puka's back. Here we go, baby. Yeah. And he threw the only punch that was more ineffectual than Chandler Smith and gets himself kicked out of the game. So I have no chance. I got Mahomes and Kelsey have to score like 65 points tonight in a monsoon that you conjured up with your weather machine out there.
Oh, it's me and Joanna, man.
Yeah,
the Cracker Jack girl.
Puka Nacua for throwing a punch. You're the worst of the weekend.
Yeah, there you go.
My second worst of the weekend. It was a phenomenal victory that, fortunately, I called. Thank God. I finally got something right this year. South Carolina getting a good win over number 10 Texas A&M. But listen, South Carolina, you've beat number 1 teams before. We don't rush the field when we beat number 10 who has 1 loss. You don't.
I agree.
You rush the only reason you rush the field for that is because you want to get your stupid selfie picture out there and go, hey, look at me, I'm on the field.
But isn't that what it's all about?
Yes,
these
that's
days,
what it's
though?
all about.
I don't
these
even
days.
think that is the excitement of, I can't believe we just
they
did
care
this.
less about the game.
But I think it's the student section gets all riled up like, hey, guys, I mean, and they knew. See, here's the other thing. I don't feel like you should rush the field if you've known since halftime or early in the third quarter that you were winning this game. I think it needs to be one of those, fourth quarter comebacks or Vanderbilt beating Alabama every single time.
40 years.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Yeah,
now, next time Vandy plays Alabama in Vanderbilt, which isn't going to be as often as what it was prior because of how the new teams in the SEC are going to affect the scheduling. But yeah, if you do it next time, it just loses its luster. Like Tennessee doing it 2 times in a row. Tennessee, you're too good of a program for that, and you've been on this isn't a new level that you've landed at, so you've got to, and South Carolina I didn't like it. I'm right there with you, though.
I love being excited. You're not rushing the field when you beat number 10. You're just not.
I love storming the field. I think that's such a really cool aspect of the game, provided no one gets hurt.
Yeah, the girls don't get caught jumping into the hedges.
No doubt. But also like time and place and act like you've been there before. And that's something that, man, it's so tough for the universities because, it's also one of those things, if you got recruits there, that's a really cool
liability.
It is. And then
that's what they get
in
this day and age of university. Lawyers in control of everything. I am amazed it happens as much as it does because it is. There's 80,000 ways you're going to get sued when that many people rush the field. It's just it's scary.
Well, you've already seen Major League Baseball put the nets up.
Players are getting hit. Players are hitting students.
Yeah.
I mean, Saban got run into a couple years ago. It's dangerous.
Major League Baseball's already extended the nets down past the dugout. They're probably going to end up going all the way down the foul pole.
Do it all the way to the back end of the field after the Yankees and Dodgers series.
I wouldn't be surprised if you get like Wrigley Field where they've got the little basket.
I think they're
back
going
there.
to.
I could, and I would hate to see this because I like the fact that you can get up close and personal to the action. Could you see college football stadiums? Because you don't see this in the NFL. The security is just way too large or whatever it is.
Well, they can't interfere with the game because they're too far back. Which is the problem I have with baseball is they can interfere with a game, and I don't like that. But, the same token, I don't want to take the fans away from the experience, but you should not be able to interfere with a game.
Yeah.
And that's what bothers me about that. Let me pivot to my best.
Yeah.
And you're not going to like this, and I don't care, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
I'm going to brag on you.
Oh, okay.
Because my best of the week is your call. Mosley game, tough game. By the way, Mosley, what a season.
Yeah.
Do not in any way let this loss dampen things for you. You guys absolutely played well enough to win, and you know that exactly. Use it as fuel. But I listened to y'all's call on there, and obviously it's an emotional game, and it was tough. I thought you handled that perfectly. I thought, you were able to convey what it looked like was going on the field, but I thought the key, and it was so impossible to do, but you did it, was you reminded everybody these are human beings making judgment calls in a split second.
Yeah.
And I do think that's important to remember. As a coach who has blown my lid several times, you do have to remember that. So I did want to give you kudos. You always do a great job of the call, but that is such an impossible moment to get it right, and I think you did. So you did a wonderful job Friday night.
That's high praise coming from you, and really just any compliments on that is, it's one of those situations where you can like the call. You shouldn't. Anytime that the referees are a factor in the game, you might not have done your job to the fullest of your ability. Now, there was multiple in this particular game. At least, I would say at least 4 legitimate gripes that the team could have with officials. But again, there was also stop the run. Stop the pass.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
And Jaden Threats, I believe it is, number 3 for Florida High, was incredible. and it was just one of those nights where, Florida High came ready to play.
It was a good football game.
It was a great football game. It absolutely was. But one of my things as a human being in general is I make mistakes. And so I can't hold anyone else to a higher standard than what I hold myself. And even if I hold myself to a higher standard than someone else, it's still.
But it's so hard to do that in the moment, and that's what you did well. So, if you don't pat yourself on the back for it, I'll pat you on the back for it. There you go.
There we go. Rick Ty says some of the MLB teams have already extended the netting to the foul pole, and I think you'll see more of that. I think the Yankees are just going to put a statue right there of Austin Capo Bianco there, which is wild. Did you see the little segment of Rob Gronkowski talking about he actually went to college with that guy?
I did not.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
He's like, I'm watching this for the first time, and dude, he played hockey. He played hockey.
Of course
for
he
the
did.
Arizona Wildcats Hockey Club, man, and he was an animal. So this does not surprise me.
Now it makes 100% sense. Gronk had to be involved somehow.
I'm gonna say my best. I'm gonna say a two-parter here. I think the best thing that I saw by far was Saquon Barkley. Not even close. Never seen anything like that. But in the same game, I'm gonna say Devontae Smith's catch in the end zone, getting his toes down. That ball was a little bit overthrown, but Devontae Smith's catch in that game.
That was crazy.
My worst is going to be, has nothing to do with officiating, just the fact that you were so close to an undefeated season, Mosley losing the undefeated season, but like Coach Brian just said, use this to fuel your fire, and I'm 100% sure that the coach, the man at the helm, Tommy Joe Whidden, is going to use this to help these young men battle through. Also got to give an honorable mention for best as well. Bay getting their final win of the season, 41-7 against Bozeman, and they're going to be going in the playoffs. We've got 3 teams going to be in the state playoffs: Arnold, Bay, and Mosley. So congratulations to all those teams. Y'all keep on with your winning ways, and if you fall short, build stronger for next year.
Well, and several more just in the listening area.
Yep.
I mean, obviously Mariana's moving on, Cottondale's moving on. I mean, there's going to be others. It's good. I mean, we've had some good football in the Panhandle this year.
We have, and been some very exciting games as well. My other worst is going to go back to Thursday Night Football. That call with Garrett Wilson in the end zone. He got the left foot down, got the left shin down. I disagree with that. I think if it's going to be left foot, right foot, then it needs to be left foot, right shin, whatever. Yep. But the same leg should not count as 2 different body parts. Agreed. So with that being said, get that right. We've got LSU, Alabama, and that's going to be on our air this Saturday evening. That's going to be a huge game for the implications of what's going on in the
elimination
SEC.
Game.
We've got college football playoff rankings tomorrow. We're out of time. For Coach Brian Haddad, I'm David Hayes. Just remember, the most important thing that I've said all day is Jesus loves you and so do I. And Coach Brian, what do you always say?
Yeah, they won, but they still stink.
That is right. He is talking about them Titans. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Monday Night Football coming up at 6:30. It'll be Paul Feinbaum. Till then.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your touchdown headquarters for the Mosley Dolphins and the Auburn Tigers.
Touchdown!